Yes,
apparently.
yeah,
Pretty
it's
good. Honestly, 6.2, this is the first week we're seeing it on competitive. So I want to see that evolve, whether it's actually good or it's like first week good.
Yeah.
Because there is a difference, right?
Absolutely.
It's like Poppy support, first week good. Poppy support, third week, nobody's playing it.
Also, like, if you think about Maokai into other matchups that isn't Tam Kench, like, you can get punished real hard in top lane against some of the big carry picks. Okay, Gangplank's being banned out in most games, but things like a Poppy Maokai could do okay into because it's not a dash. You go underneath the steadfast presence, so that could actually be good. But once again, we'll ban into pick and bans. Callista and Jax aimed at Whirlip and Holy Phoenix, gonna take away the Callista this game.
Graves banned away as well, so there's pretty much most of the first picks you'd assume. Corki is remaining. What else? So last game we had Alistar banned, Fiora banned. One of them is getting through, at least here. So we will see which that is. So it is the Fiora that gets through. To SK opt to first pick it? Do they look for the Corki? Do they maybe look for the jungle pickup? Okay.
All right.
I mean, that's the one I would have gone for as well,
Yeah.
with the Corki there. I think it's solid. Most likely going over to Suno. He couldn't get Twisted Fate again, so give himself something else that has a strong laning phase. This time you all about yourself. All about sieging around that mid lane.
I wonder how dangerous this is, though, for Huma, because they intentionally left it up and banned out the Alistar instead, so you don't get that onto Unlimited. And then giving over the Corki, what else do they have in store? Because you know it's going to go over. You know it's going to be played against you.
So, at this point, Huma... Do they give Whirlib the Fiora? Do they opt for the Maokai again? Is that what they go for?
Nope, Fiora.
Yeah, it was SK that banned the Fiora last game as well. So they pair it with the Lucian. I think that's a good setup. Get Holy Phoenix, another strong laner.
Yeah.
Now, do SK keep that Corki in the mid lane, which is what I think is probably the better bet? Or do they move it to AD carry? Just to give themselves a stronger AD carry.
Well, it depends what setup they want to run as well, because they could throw the Corki in the mid lane with, again, a Nidalee jungle.
Yeah.
Or they could have like another poker in the mid lane, perhaps. I don't know.
And to define stronger AD carry, I'm not necessarily talking in terms of the matchup. I'm talking about like what's banned, what's available. Because once you get rid of Callista, then you kind of got like the Lucian Corki tier, and then after that seems to be the Ezreal with time, the Tristana with time. She's not amazing right
Misfortune
now.
also sits
Misfortune
in that same
sits
category.
in that category as well. Yeah.
And then below all of that, Vayne.
Unless you're a Vayne god.
Yes.
But no Vayne in this game. We do, however, have that Poppy being locked in.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Nidalee was locked in into the jungle. I don't know where the Corki's going just yet, but Poppy into Fiora is not bad, because Steadfast Presence means it's very difficult for Fiora to all-in you, because you pop that, run away, you get the extra movement speed as well, and just run for your life. So it's difficult for her to all-in, but the laning phase, it's because it's got a long cooldown, you just can't use it every single time she jumps in, so you get poked down.
And that's the problem the later the game goes, is once Fiora has a few items and the Q cooldown is so low, it's like, oh, you blocked my first Q. Good luck blocking my next three. Like, and you just stick on top. So there are a few interactions there. The dash into the wall is fairly predictable.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a game of how do you read the riposte. So it's a very interesting, very fun matchup to watch out evolve. So
Also,
I'm looking forward to seeing Whirlib and Morsu in this setup.
Also at long range, Poppy, like, you can do it on reaction. You can riposte on reaction. If it's close range, obviously not, but then you shouldn't be there in the first place unless you have a very good reason to as Fiora.
Exactly.
So yeah, a lot of nice nuances in that matchup. Lucian and the Victor, along with Rek'Sai with the other pickups from Huma. Godbro back on Victor. That's an interesting one. Usually prefers like the champion to jump in rather than stay back a bit and also combo. But we've seen some really nice plays from Godbro on Victor and
So
Azir.
I quite like it because yes, it is a very different playstyle, but Huma have recognized what they have to do here, and that is deny SK's ability to siege. They've got a Nidalee, they've got a Corki. What is the one thing that they want to do? They want to stand in front of a turret, throw out projectiles, and get the turret. What champion denies that very well has a lot better early game than the likes of like an Anivia on this patch, where Anivia takes time to scale up. It's Victor. You get yourself that first augment, get the extra explosion, suddenly you're able to clear out the waves, and SK then run out of options. If they can't push down the middle lane, they have to look elsewhere.
Last pickup, Lux and Trundle. So Trundle will go into support, presumably. We did see a Trundle game top lane again recently, I believe. Was it EU or was it LCK I was watching? One of them?
I think we saw it in EU, actually. I want to say it was Trundle into Poppy. So I remember commenting that the pillar provides extra. Well, I was sat on the analyst desk during the game, but nevertheless, the one thing SK do have is the ability to flex, but also the fact that Trundle will assist the likes of a Corki, the likes of a Nidalee, the likes of a Lux very well, because that pillar with the slow, easier projectiles to hit. Land one binding, rocket comes in, laser comes in, spear comes in, everything flies at one burst.
And they're probably going to die. Like, a Braum, even if he builds Tankin with his normal build as a support, is still going to get blown up.
Yeah.
Rek'Sai, even if she gets, like, unless she gets really far ahead and gets some an injection of early gold, like, you can still blow up a Rek'Sai until they get to, like, 3 items. So, not bad, actually, as a composition.
It is fairly heavy magic damage for SK, when you look at it. Corki has a lot more magic damage now than he used to. Lux, magic damage. Nidalee, magic damage as well. Poppy, yes, will have AD and the ability to duel, but
Still mixed.
it's still mixed, yeah. It's heavily towards magic damage, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Huma pick up, like, an Aegis on Centauran, and then maybe the likes of a banner on Braum for Je Suis Cass. At that point, it makes it kind of difficult for SK to do a lot of things, but SK, nevertheless, they have this kind of composition where if they can get in a position to siege and Huma aren't there in time, could work out well for them.
I'd actually like to see more Banner of Commands, because Banner is, like, just a really good item right now. And also into the Maokai matchup, if you had picked that up on Morsu, like, Maokai cannot do anything. If you pick up first item, if you see a Maokai in solo queue, they just lose. Like, they can't clear it. There's nothing you can do. You're all magic damage. I'm triggered because that happened to me, but yeah. Next time you can tilt on Maokai really hard. Also against Vladimir's as well. That's hilarious. They transfuse and nothing happens. But once again, those are the full compositions. Pretty much just swapping the tables. So SK running this poke composition, and Huma going with something a little bit different. Also, let the Fiora come through. So once again, use the hashtags SKWin and HMA win, and jump in on Twitter. Last game, it was heavily weighted towards Huma, and I don't think this game's going to be any different. 89%.
One thing that is a little bit different as we get on to Summoner's Rift for this game is Godbro is not running Thunderlords. Godbro
really?
is running Storm Rider's Surge on Victor. I am a big fan.
Victor.
I am a big fan of Storm Raiders.
I know you are.
I'm gonna say it. I love to play it on like any champion I can.
Didn't you swap back to Thunderlords though? When
Shush, shush. Okay, it didn't work out as well as I hoped it would. But what Storm Raiders is going to do is once you deal 30% of a champion's health, you get 40% of your movement speed and 75% slow reduction for a short period of time. So we know Victor is very good at blowing people up. One laser should pretty much get that proc from Storm Raiders. So I like it. I like it. Gives him the ability to be versatile in fights. He can either kite back, go forward, look for a squishy target for the ult. We'll see.
We will see.
There is some damage that's lacking now from Thunderlords. Thunderlords did get the change that we talked about in the first game, but to be honest, with a Victor, it doesn't really affect it too much.
No, you can very easily get 3 spells or auto attacks off in 3 seconds. Last time we saw Storm Raiders was Bazillion in NA.
Yes.
GBM, man.
Oh, he won me fantasy against Officio. It was amazing. It was great. Also, we saw it from Selfie this week in EULCS on Jace, which was an interesting one. So I'm liking the different masteries that we are seeing. I believe Morsu has Grasp of the Undying. I will double check that though. Well, we will double check that as the game goes on.
We'll see very soon as he walks in lane.
Yeah, we will do. And I think Werlib has Fiora. Yeah, on Fiora has the Fervor of Battle. Yeah, I think.
That's usually the common pickup for Fiora. It's very easy to start stacking up and then go for a trade.
Yeah.
And basically after your first combo, you have essentially full stacks, and it just does more damage than Grasp. In lane is kind of nice, but you still get healing from your passive anyway, so you're not really going to run out. And with a bunch of Fioras running like Corrupting Potion right now, you just don't need it for the laning phase.
Yep, you don't. And can confirm Morsu has Grasp. Whoa, Dotgo is dropping really low.
Dotgo?
Like, whoa, that is actually going to kill you if you get hit by that again.
Jumps back in. Oh man, this like one auto.
What?
He just literally died to jungle as Nidalee. How does that actually happen?
He has no point in E yet, which is okay. Which is like
that's normal.
no heal. That's normal.
Fine.
So I'm just kind of wondering what led to that. So
Gonna hold that thought for a second.
hold that thought.
Santrin
I'm gonna go double
jumps
check.
in on Morsu. He'll have to flash away. Whirler was not able to get the follow-up damage, but to me that looked like a normal path. I mean, I wasn't following it closely because I just assumed he was just doing his normal clear, but...
So Dotgo got really low off Gromp, like under 200 health low on Gromp.
Okay.
And then goes over to blue buff and
Round 2
goes to like 200 health again, and then decides to start Wolves. Like, okay, that was really weird by Dotgo.
So
I kind of think I want to check his runes of mastery as a sec, but we'll let this game continue and I'll work on that.
Did Morsu help him?
A little bit, like a very small amount at the beginning.
Well, remember folks, help your jungler out because it helps their early clear. And even good junglers like Dotgo will get executed. So, that was interesting.
He doesn't have the most armor, to be honest.
Yeah, this requires a greater investigation.
Yeah, I'm having to watch the game and
Yes.
dip into
'Cause
very
the weirdest-
minute things.
The weirdest thing here is, like, because he wasn't no one interacted with him on the enemy
Right.
team. This was all about him and his early clear, and this is something, like, you do every day. Like, it's just walking down the street, grabbing groceries, like, going back to your apartment, and instead just going there and tripping over on your face, like, walking into a pillar that's there every day.
Okay.
Unlimited is dying a lot in the bottom lane, but Holy Phoenix just jumps into them, instantly gets exhausted, now trades off with Vardags, but with Dotgo coming in, he'll help the first blood come out. Just Recats following onto Vardags, he sidesteps the Winter's Bite, and Cass goes down before Santrin comes into the fight. 2 early kills to SK.
This has been such a messy early game from both teams right now. The flash forward from Holy Phoenix, for some reason, he was expecting Unlimited not to exhaust him straight away. Like, right away, as soon as he flashes, you know Unlimited is going to exhaust every single time. We're 4.5 minutes into the game, and he hasn't used exhaust yet. He clearly has it available. Really weird decision-making from Holy Phoenix there. I know he wanted the kill, but should have been respecting the summoners. Whirlip's in the bottom lane.
Santrin will flash, knock up, get the first kill. Whirlip, can he get any more from this? The Vitals are not in a good position for him as he jumps onto the tower for the last bit of damage. Now Whirlip will back off.
He wanted it, though. He was like, I don't care that the Vitals are on the bottom. I'm going for it.
I can swing this. But Vitals were changed. Vitals were changed in 6-2. They are now more predictable. They spawn on one side, the next one will be on the other side. Instead of just always on the side that's closest to the enemy, Suno getting chunked.
Yeah, Suno opted for the Corrupting Potion, which normally is not the worst thing in the world. And I don't think it's particularly bad here, but especially when you're trading up against somebody like Godbro, who you know is heavy-handed with trading in lane. Like, anytime he has the option to put damage on you without sacrificing anything, he's going to go for it. Not again. Not again. You don't get it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Playing with fire.
The point I was going to make is, like, Godbro likes to trade often, which makes the Corrupting Potion fairly useful, because it allows you to just heal up all the time. Problem is with that, like, the extra stats, the mana regen that comes from the Doran's Ring, the added health to trade, the little bit of AP, it means that Suno's getting pressured out very early on in this game. He was, like, no mana when we looked at him last. He has backed away now.
Yes,
He's
back. Now he's got full health and mana.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Vardags has picked Sheen as well in the bottom lane, and Vardags is actually ahead in this lane, which is something we haven't actually seen yet. So I want to know how he punishes his opponent, especially an opponent like Holy Phoenix.
Yeah, and he's ahead because of Holy Phoenix flashing forward.
Correct.
Like, realistically. And I'm still perplexed by his flash forward. Like, no.
Careful. Steadfast presence a little too late, but it would just hold off his second lunge. Now he's got another one. Santrin coming into this will knock up Morsu. And there comes the riposte. Actually gets the stun down onto Morsu as well. Now Doggo is being chased after as he just tries to assist his ally. And will pounce away after the flash. But, yeah, Morsu misplayed that.
Yeah, Morsu ended up far too far up the lane, then tried to hit the short ultimate to just knock him up so he could try and run away. Problem is, the actual displacement there isn't super long. It's not for a long period of time, so they kind of just reappear. Morsu is going back top lane. We even saw Suno roaming across just to try and get in range for the final Spark ultimate from Lux, but Godbro was tracking him up the river as well, so was not meant to be.
Something also got riposted. I wasn't sure what it was, whether it was the ultimate or the E. from Morsu, but Whirlup did riposte something, and that stuck Morsu in one place, which led to the kill. But
yeah, I'd have to go back and watch that again, actually.
yeah,
are correct.
But was not started off well. You want to steadfast presence the first riposte, the first lunge, because if you miss that, then you pop it, and then Furious is gonna wait, and then your W does nothing. You lose the damage, you lose basically everything for it. So, Godbro in this middle lane is actually significantly ahead of Suno.
Sorry, yes, Santorin gets the knockup. What I was going about was, yes, he did actually riposte the ult.
Okay.
Like,
that
sorry,
feels bad.
I was just checking it through again. Yeah, interaction was a little difficult to see the first time around.
Well, now we know.
And the more you know.
But in that situation, you kind of know. You can make like an educated guess of when Poppy's going to ult, but still nice by Whirlup. Bot lane, Vardags is still ahead of Holy Phoenix. The gap between them is actually closing up, though. Holy Phoenix has just been kind of CSing fairly well and catching up in farm.
There is a fairly substantial CS difference, though. Mid lane, Godbro against Suno. 20 CS up right now, or was for Godbro. Suno just returned to lane, collected some of it. Godbro's looking to go aggressive. Went through the jungle, was looking to see if he could find Dotgo. Knows that Dotgo's been dropping fairly low. But it's top lane that seems to be the next port of call for a jungler. Minion wave does run out, though, and then Santorin goes in.
Morsu, good W, though, and maybe it's a little too late. Whirlup trying to get the last bit of damage off, and he stays in the ultimate. It's not quite enough, and a tower shot will shut him down for the 1-for-1.
Yeah, that 1-for-1 trade. Whirlup, I think he was banking on the heal just being enough, but then chickened out of the heal at the last minute, and it was still within tower range. And unfortunately falls because of it. Dotgo finds the pink that Morsu's been using to hold his lane secure for the last few minutes and clears that one out, and then they go for the invade. So, I mean, it's a very easy to read invade, but you know Rek'Sai's top anyway, so I think this is just Huma saying, okay, you can have that, we'll go for the kill top side instead.
The big difference in that trade was Morsu got a really nice W off. One, as Rek'Sai was tunneling in, stopped that one, then stopped the lunge as Whirlup came in to assist.
Yeah.
And that was one, an extra bit of damage, and two, bought him enough time to go for the 1-for-1. So that one was good, but highlights one of the issues with diming Poppy, because having CC with E and also having the ability to block dashes when you have two dash champions going for you is pretty strong.
It is pretty strong. So at this point, I'm looking at like Vardags and how his Corki is going. The gap between Vardags and Holy Phoenix is closed. Dotgo did get the dragon, but the gap on CS is closed. At this point, Vardags, one of the differences between mid lane Corki and bottom lane Corki, and this is a very obvious one, but it's one that I don't think people really speak about too much, is obviously the faster level ups that you're going to have in mid lane just from being on your own. Bottom lane fight.
Unlimited is taking so much damage, he'll flash away. Now the teleport's coming in from Whirlup, but it's a little too late and he'll interrupt it. As SK get pushed behind their tower. That was a very late TP. And now with Suno heading down,
I don't think he can do
Huma
anything here.
have to back away. Yeah, no, he can't.
No, he can't. And Godbro did manage to get a bit of a shove on the lane and get a, keep that CS difference. Now he gets back to lane and clears it out. So Godbro's already got that Hex Core upgrade. So extra wave clear is already there for him. Ah, it's not quite as bad as last game. That's actually a little bit better. I mean, considering SK lost the last game, I guess maybe people are a bit more more convinced by the picks and bans this time.
It was probably after the first 2 kills of the game, actually.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Probably not after the execute. Then it was probably like a swing to HMA, and then it like swung back as they got the first 2 kills.
I would have loved to have seen that as a live feature.
Live ticker, yeah.
The reason why it's not 100% in favor of SK right now, I'm going to be honest, it's not Star Guardian Lux.
It isn't, no. That's
it's not
a big flaw. The W comes up from Morsu, too late again. And Dotgo's waiting for Santorin, but he doesn't win that 1v1 unless Santorin just lets him auto-attack him in the face for a couple times.
Santorin has opted for the Cinderhulk as well on Rek'Sai, which is fairly standard. There are a handful of junglers that have been going Warrior. Off the top of my mind, I think Rainover did it in one game.
Looking at you, Dan.
I'm looking at Dan as well. Dan would normally be the culprit for that, but last time we saw him last week on Rek'Sai, he actually changed and didn't go Black Cleaver.
I know!
So there was a bit of a change there.
Yeah. Nice to see, I guess. Mid lane, Godbro is sitting on his blasting one. Again, gone for a very early swiftness boots. Just to, I guess, roam faster. And it's just a really nice pickup early game. The fact that 300 gold cheaper than Sorcerer's Boots is just so nice for the mid lane. Lucidity is also a nice pickup because it's the same price as Swifties, but don't really need it here on Victor.
That's one of my frustrations when seeing people play Lux and pick up Swiftness Boots, is I'm like, yes, you can go a little bit faster, but the cooldown reduction, man, if you're getting like, because especially with the Frost Queen's Claim build path that we were seeing, obviously not going to see it so much, it was kind of difficult to reach 40% CDR. Yeah. You had to have like the Frost Queen's Claim plus a cooldown item if you're going Swiftness Boots. You can just go Lucidity Boots and then grab the blue buff and be at like 40% and be like, hey, ult every 20 seconds. Which is the end goal, really, for Lux.
Yeah, critical mass of Lux. Being able to just ult every wave.
Also, the fact that Lux, kind of her natural progression through the game, when you look at like how much damage she does at a moderate pace, tends not to be able to clear the full wave out with just the Lucent Singularity. Yep. It tends to be you have the melee creeps still alive on a little bit of health, which isn't a big problem unless you're in full siege pushback mode, which means your ult is more reliable at wave clear.
Remember back in the day when Lux's ultimate was like on a 21-second cooldown?
Yeah, those were the days.
And when minions spawn every 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's great. You just ulted every wave.
Yeah.
It's like, you are never getting through. Or light times, if you believed.
Apparently. That was also the time when you could go AP Alistair mid and it was 1-to-1 ratios on W and Q.
Someday you're going to stop talking about Alistair in roles
but it is
other
not
than
this
support.
day.
One day, and that day I think I'll be happy.
Perhaps, but he still needs to get harder on his ratios.
They say true happiness is Pulse not talking about Alistair.
Such a good champion, man. All these lanes, just trading, just farming. The junglers have stopped interacting, and as the buff spawned, just going through there. I'm glad that we've been following Dotko, though, just in case he gets executed to another camp. Because if a Nidalee dies in the jungle by herself, does anyone here?
Yes, because we have an announcer. It's like,
but there's the enemy team because they're by themselves, so they don't actually.
That's true. Maybe they just feel a disturbance.
Yeah.
The creatures start talking. So this game will pick up a little bit of pace if SK use the core key to its fullest extent. Looking for the Sorcerer Shoes and then to go mid lane, pretty much. Difficulty with that is they are going to run into a Victor. So if they do take in mid lane before they've taken like bottom tower and top tower, the question is, can they break through this Victor and the wave clear? Ultimate not available for Victor now.
Godbro sending a message.
Yeah, well, that's not really a big part of his wave clear.
Nice by Whirler, but now he'll go for the all-in onto Morsu. Morsu will have to try and hit the ultimate, but the early flash he was going for the predict.
It was a nice attempt by Whirlib. Yeah. Like, I think if Whirlib holds his nerve, no, in fact, the reaction flash would be so difficult. Do you know what, I think if this was on the LCS stage, we may have seen Whirlib hold his nerve. Maybe. And try and reaction flash, because you know which way that's coming. So he chose the right direction, he chose the right distance, just the wrong time.
Ever so slightly off, but it was still a very nice trade from both sides. There was some really nice mechanical stuff that happened. Whirler blocking the E with his riposte. Vardags will turn around and put a bit of damage onto Cass.
Vardags was expecting Holy Phoenix to dodge down. Or at least I would assume so, otherwise he just straight up missed that rocket. I'm expecting he was predicting the move away, but Vardags is in a situation where he's just about got the money for his boots, so that is SK's time to start grouping. It's a very defined, very clear power spike for Corki, and the package has just spawned, so if there ever was a time that screams SK should look to group, it's basically right now.
The interesting thing about Whirlib's build, though, is he's gone for the Ravenous Hydra first instead of the Titanic, which is usually the first item you see, then into Black Cleaver, and then you swap later when you've got the extra health, but he just doesn't feel threatened at all by Morsu, that he can go for the damage option earlier.
That's fair. I mean, I feel like it's the kind of build that you go when you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to try and carry for now and get ahead, get a little bit further ahead, and then swap it over.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him swap over later in the game. I know it's the inverse of what we've seen other players do, but it's possible. So Vardex picked up the package and has gone bot. So I'm assuming the call from his team was we're going to start Dragon, and then you're going to have the package should we need it. But they're not actually going to be able to use it all that much. Maybe they just used it in the bottom side, but top lane.
Morsu is not in a good place. Whirlip will get the Grand Challenge and the heal off. Only got one Vital, so it did not stay up very long for a heal, but he doesn't really need it. And now the tower will be going down.
The problem is the critical difference in this was super risky by Godbro. I'll finish this in a sec.
Yeah, Unlimited is definitely caught out here. Gets the exhaust down onto Holy Phoenix. Nice spear block from Cat, but he's been bound up. Vardex is there with the damage. Will miss the Valkyrie. Final Spark picks up the first kill. Holy Phoenix kites back, and Whirlip's now into the fight with Santa, and the cavalry has definitely arrived with a double knockup. Godbro is there, lands the laser onto 2, and it is a massacre for Huma.
This was a fairly sizable misplay by SK. They get the dragon, and you see Victor appear top lane. The one champion that is going to stop you from taking the most critical tower on the map for this kind of composition that relies on jungle control. And they could have gone mid. SK could have taken 4 people, gone straight to the mid lane, pushed it through before Victor ever gets back in this lane, and you're able to take control of the enemy jungle. They choose a fight in the lower side jungle and end up losing it because Huma have enough time to regroup. That right there may be the critical tipping point of this game where SK can't come back into it, if they still can't get this mid tower. We're 20 minutes in, there is still a chance if they can get that tower down and establish vision control, but that window is kind of running out.
It's very important they get that middle turret. Like, they're running a poke composition, not a team fight composition. Huma have swapped over this game, and like, if they react even slowly, you still win. We're going to take a look at that fight and the setup again.
Look, they already have 2 people mid lane. Victor is coming back to the lane, but nobody else is. If Corki goes to mid here and assists with that push, they could have got extra damage on that tower, but all of SK get grouped into the jungle here. Yes, they get a pick. The problem is they're now surrounded. There's no way out because Whirlip has teleported in, and it's just so difficult right now for SK to have taken that fight. I don't think that was really ever going to come up trumps for them.
If anything, it could have gone a lot worse. Doko managed to get out and ran away as soon as he saw the ship was sinking, and likewise so did Unlimited, but yeah, it was. They could have literally just gotten the mid turret there.
I feel like we could end up in a situation for SK like the Vitality H2K game from this past week's LCS, where Vitality are just kind of always trying to get the mid lane, and they can never get anything because their vision control is so hampered by the fact they never got out a tower down, and it just ends up almost an ARAM for like 30 minutes. Problem is, if this game goes to that kind of style where SK are just grouping mid, Whirlip will take their side waves time and time again. He will take towers, he will take everything because he's so far ahead, being 4-1 and 2. Nobody is going to be able to hold him. The only person that can hold him is Suno clearing waves, and even then, Suno can't afford to step anywhere near Whirlip.
Correct. Even under tower as well. If you riposte the light binding, then you are dead.
Yeah.
And bot tower also go down to SK though, so this is a nice play from them. Morsu is a little bit late, and why would he teleports down to the bottom lane, but Whirlip's just gonna take top tower.
Yeah, however, Morsu goes in, didn't get the stun.
He goes for the forced engage, but he gets CC'd up. Now the disengage in from Cass. Will it be enough though? The laser comes across and Cass will go down. But as long as Huma disengage here, Whirlip just takes the top turret.
Also key in the fact that it looks like the Rift Herald is still active on Santorin, and it's buffing up all the minions from Huma, and the most of the wave clear and pushing potential that SK have is magic damage. They've got a Corki as their AD carry who's mostly magic damage now, and a Lux. Whereas Whirlip, the other side, has nobody against him to stop him taking these turrets. It's a nice play by SK to start getting things on the map, but they cannot deal with Whirlip, and that's going to be the real problem for this game.
Pretty much Huma can just invert that now, and then stick Whirlip into the bottom lane, because there's plenty of turrets for him to take in the bottom lane now.
The real,
being on the board.
The real kicker in that fight, though, was Morsu didn't realize he was on a ward. But like the entirety of him waiting for the counter engage, he just sat on a ward, and just recast is like, he's gonna go for me. He's gonna go for me.
Yep.
So he just takes a step closer in towards Morsu, and he never gets the stun against the wall. Feels bad, man.
It feels
so bad.
Yeah, Morsu has managed to finish his core build, which is Iceborne and Sunfire. Iceborne is fantastic on Poppy because you can just activate an ability and throw your Bracer at someone for the slowdown. Unlimited has been caught out by Santrin and Holy Phoenix and should literally just fall here to Holy Phoenix as he just has to kite into the top lane. Whirlip's been slowed down, and the spear does not connect onto Whirlip. He'll go for Dotco and try and burst him down. And look at the damage! The Grand Challenge as well, and he's out healing Morsu's damage.
Gonna take
he's
out
a tank. I mean, what can you do? Morsu just has to tap the ultimate. And Whirlip 1v2s SK Gaming.
I mean, I said no one can take him 1v1. Apparently, two damage threats from SK can't even 2v1 Whirlip at this point. And Huma are taking the Baron because of this. All of this focus from SK just has not been in the right spot at the right time, and Whirlip has prospered from it. 6-1-2. Morsu on this Poppy has had a real tough time dealing with him.
Fiora is actually one of the best champions out going 1v2 because if you get the instant burst off like we saw in that fight and get the Grand Challenge and the Vitals, that's 5 seconds of healing where you will out-heal pretty much anyone in a one-on-one scenario and you just can't win.
So we're going to take a look at this. Keep in mind Whirlip has just picked up a Hex Drinker right before this fight as he recalled. So Dotco, when he actually is trying to do damage, is going to drop him, well, that magic resist is going to work out pretty well for him, but from him, Morsu's got nothing. Like, even with the riposte down from Whirlip, he just can't take that trade. He can't even get to his turret. Good steal out by Dotco, though. Nice
and he's out.
Constellation prize, but Godbro, whoa.
Yeah, he's caught, or maybe the enemy's caught. Pops his ultimate onto Unlimited. He'll get a lot of healing from Subjugate there, and they're all back away. Also, something at the very start of the fight, Morsu used his E on Whirlip and pushed him out of the spear range. It actually hit a minion. So had the spear landed and then you get the follow with the takedown damage, they may have killed Whirlip. It would have been close. It would have been closer, for sure, but that also did not help.
Now you can see Lux being content with just damaging the ranged minions and then autoing them, but the front minions are a little bit trickier for her to deal with.
Did we mention Baron got picked up? It got picked up.
It was getting picked up during the 2v1.
Okay.
So
we didn't put 2 and 2 together.
We saw it.
Together
we saw it, and then we mentioned it a little bit.
Okay,
and then
good.
It was finished off. But
disclaimer: they have Baron.
Yeah. Man, so SK first picked the Corki in this game, and really haven't done anything with it. Like, yes, they had it as AD carry. It's a little slower on the curve than the mid lane Corki that we saw even in the last game. But SK haven't been in a situation where they can reliably group. And now they won't get that because of how strong Whirlip is. I really don't think there's going to be any point in this game where Whirlip is in enough threat that he can't sit in a side lane. Only if somehow the rest of Huma misplay and all of SK go down and try and deal with him.
This 1-3-1 is brutal. Mid tower will go down. Top tower has already been taken from Whirlip. Whirlip is in the bottom lane and will eventually take this tower. Morsu just can't really stop it. Look, it's 40% HP. Whirlip on this wave or the next one will just take it. And now the rest of the team is coming. Morsu goes for the engage on Whirlip, but Whirlip will turn around. Grand challenge.
Oh, wow.
He flashes away. He'll get some healing as he comes in for Vardags. He'll also have to flash away and burn his summoners. Santrin, the jungler, is just taking the top turret from Dotco. And now Whirlip's here, and he's just going to finish off the Nidalee. He can't even kill the Rek'Sai, and Rek'Sai just takes the tower. The bot tower is also being taken away from SK. SK are just losing everything.
This is one of the most one-sided sequences I think I've ever seen. 2v1 into Baron, into towers from mid and bot and top inhibitors.
It's utter collapse.
This is like the entirety of SK's base has just crumbled in the last 3 minutes of this game.
Yeah. And now Huma will head into the middle lane and do the same. Just take this tower. It's not fantasy. You don't need to get more points for the viewers at home. But
they've just taken everything. Like they've been in a situation where their lanes have been strong enough. Morsu tries to get something done there.
13,000 gold ahead. And most of that opens up from the sequence of events that we just watched.
Yeah. Everybody on Huma has like 2.3, 3k gold. Like, they're just like, well, we're banking.
Whirlip just spent 3,000 gold in one instant. What did he pick up? Sterak's.
Well,
okay.
To put it in perspective, Whirlip himself is just shy of, I'm doing maths here,
Yep.
just shy of 6,000 gold up on Morsu in an individual matchup. That is more than most gold differences of an LCS game at the end of the game.
Is not good.
That's not a good time.
Not for Morsu at all.
I'm gonna get fact checked on that by Spelcy, our stats guy, where he's like, that wasn't a real fact.
Actually, it's 7,000
well, no,
gold.
why would you say that Spelcy would sound like that? That's quite mean of you, Pulse. I was just saying he's gonna fact check me and be like, no, you're wrong. But definitely,
no, Spelzy does not sound like that.
No, he doesn't. God, you're getting wrong stats. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna say something in an interview and
he's like, haha!
Blatantly wrong, and Spelzy will get his revenge.
Yeah.
But Huma are getting their revenge right now.
Do they have anything to get revenge from, though?
Probably something.
Alright. Maybe they PM them or something in a tweet. But I actually really like this item build from Whirlip. I think it's so strong. I don't think I'm going to have time to talk about it, though, because SK are quickly crumbling.
Banner of Command has been picked up on
yes,
EUCS, so if it was difficult enough to clear this for SK, they now have to deal with the Baron.
The
banner.
It is.
Yeah, look, like the 2 towers are still. The 2 towers took more health damage in that time than the Banner of Command minion. Like, that's insane.
Can he hit it? Nope.
Swing and a miss.
He'll have
swing and a not swing, actually, I guess.
He'll have it fairly soon. He has a third of the cooldown because he didn't use his ultimate there. And it's really just a matter of time before Huma pick up this win. Morsu has to try and find something to do. He jumps on the Holy Things, hoping he'll try and dash away, but he just holds his nerve, and now Morsu has been caught out. Santrin and Cass are just going to chunk him down. Godbro throws in the laser as well for good measure. The towers are both going to crumble. Whirlip is now into the back lines, essentially just going 1v4. Now his team turns up, but he's already taken them out, and the Nexus is also going to fall. There's the package, but not really going to help them out. Huma take this win 2-0 in the week over SK.
That was a much better Huma than we saw in last week's series. Like, man, that's like night and day. Yeah, exactly. Just cannot really describe the difference in play. Like, Holy Phoenix shows up. You know, just everything about that. Godbro shows up. Santorin looked pretty good himself. Like, really helped Whirlip out in the top lane for a while.
Yeah.
And then Morsu on the other side, just under that much pressure from the likes of like Santorin, from Whirlip, just couldn't really survive.
It really felt like Huma were all like jockeying for the highlight reel there. Like everyone was just trying to make plays, but I think Whirlip won in the end there against Morsu. But talking about pressure, Morsu, okay, top lane is like a little bit about mind games because you have to predict a lot, but he was making a lot of like big mistakes that just got punished really hard by like jungler and top laner. But still, it's moving into tanks as well is another good adaptation, and he also picked up the Poppy instead of the Tam Kench, so he has more in his playbook apart from Tam Kench, even though it was left open for him. So so yeah, it's good, but so far has not really worked out in his games.
Yeah, hasn't worked out. 3 games of Tam Kench, now a game of Poppy. All of those champions are good and are in a situation where I think they should be doing well, but it's not the same style that Morsu wants to play. Poppy is closer to it, with you know, the bruiser setup that he wants to do, but for Huma they were unfazed by giving him Tam Kench, unfazed by giving him Poppy. It was a difference in styles as well from game 1 to game 2. Game 1 was very clearly that poke kind of composition with the Corki mid. Game 2 was almost an anti-Corki mid setup where they're like, well, we're just going to take wave clear, we're going to take the ability to control side waves, and that's how we're going to win the game. And that's exactly how they won the game.
Yeah.
It was just controlling the side waves. Whirlip got uncontrollable.
Really, how I expected Huma to look in week 1 as well was kind of like a G2 setup where they play fast and they play loose, and you just win with your carries. And we saw that in game 1, but they also did have some more macro play as well, like actually controlling the side waves, sending up those minions. So that was also cool to see. They're not just like a one trick and this is like, we're just going to win games by winning lanes.
Yeah, that is fair. Although Huma, I think this game, and I think looking forward, I don't mean this in a bad way. I think Huma very much so are a kind of win lane, win game kind of team. They seem very clear cut. It's like, when we have a lead, we know what to do. Yeah. We're going to be able to do this, then we go here. This is our game plan. And I think that's a good sign for Huma, for certain. Like, I think that's a good spot to be in. As Deficio always says, you don't have to be SKT, right? You just got to be able to play a style very well Doesn't matter if there's a few other things.
Even if it's very simple. I'm actually going to chat to Santron here very, very shortly about that game. It was 4-1 and 14 over 2 games. Hey, Santron, how's it going?
Hey, Santron, how's it going?
Hey, Santron.
Oh,
how's it?
Hey, I think he can hear us now, but we haven't quite got him on our side.
It's a one-way conversation. We'll just say things at him, and he'll nod. Yes or no answers.
Have we got you now? Okay. So, apparently, you guys can hear him. So, we can't hear him, unfortunately, but we will start off maybe talking about the first game with the poke composition that you guys ran with the Corki mid. In that scenario, who from it on your team is calling the movements to Siege? Is that you, or is that maybe Godbro from that mid position?
And Willib as our secondary shot caller. And when we're doing mid sieges, like it's mainly on me. But on the other hand, like everyone will say what they think is the best way to like play around the objective. But like normally it's like me who makes the last call, but we have Willib also making calls.
Okay, that's interesting to hear. I do want to talk about the first week that we saw you up against the second week. Like, what happened in your team versus those 2 weeks? Like, you just look like a different team.
Well, against Millennium, like first of all, our draft was something. First of all, like we had not prepared probably in terms of like our picks and bans because as you guys saw last week, we played Siren and Sonivia. We were playing. Like we gave Tom Kench away every single game, and it's just like it's not only on coach, it's also on players. Like we were not playing the right comfort picks, and we were practicing the wrong way. And this week we felt more strong about it because like now we know what is the priority picks, and now we've like done our research, and like Coops, our coach, has like been watching the entire time and made sure that like now it's the right way to like pick ban.
So you say last week that giving Tam Kench over was a mistake. So this week you give it away in game 1, very confident against it. Was that the changes from the new patch, or was that you felt comfortable playing into SK's Tam Kench top?
Well, we knew that like last week Mo also played 2 games with Tam Kench, and knowing like how Tam Kench works, he doesn't have engage. He's just like someone holding your carry back and making sure he doesn't die. And first of all, like yes, the nerfs, like I don't think Tam Kench is a strong champion anymore, and I was really surprised when they picked it. So when they picked Tam Kench, we know they're not gonna have engaged because Alistar's banned. You have a Tam Kench top lane, so that's not really hard engaged. So if we go into a poke, they have no way of winning the game basically unless we do a really bad early game.
Cool. That was kind of what I was wondering, whether he's kind of changed. But interesting to hear as well with the scouting from last week. I have a question that's a little bit more focused on yourself and your role in the team. So your former team, TSM, had a very clear mid lane focus. There was mostly everything, going towards Bjergsen. You're now on a team that has the likes of Willib, the likes of Holy Phoenix with Godbro. That's 3 big carries. How does that change your role as a jungler?
Well, it definitely makes it easier because first of all, like I used to play only around mid lane, and now like Willib, like if we have him on the split push carries, if he's ahead, he's gonna 1v9. If we have Holy ahead, he's gonna 1v5. And Gabbro, he like the thing I like a lot about Gabbro is that he doesn't need pressure. Like he can play the lane 1v2 the entire game, and he'll still do well. And that's something that gives us a huge benefit in terms of draft because we can always play around whatever lane we want. Like now we don't have to focus on one specific lane.
I do want to follow up on that. So how does that influence your champion select? Do you actively think, okay, we're actually going to give all of these lanes carries, or are there going to be games where you say, okay, well, we're going to put you on a back roll here and then give you something supporty like a Tam Kench or like a Lulu? And does that change you as well? Because something like a Graves needs to be facilitated by lanes versus like, a ganker who sets up his lanes.
Yeah, so basically what's really good about our team is we don't mind being the guy just sitting back and letting the other guy carry. Like there's so many teams where you have like these 2 people who both wants to carry the game, and because they both want to carry, like your draft become really bad and you play to the wrong lanes. So that's something that we have as like a huge upside because now like people know if they don't carry, like if I don't carry, I know my team is going to carry me, and that's something that's really, it makes it way easier.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak to us, Centaurian. Congratulations on your wins this week, and look forward to watching Huma's games as we continue through Spring Split. But,
Thanks.
It's a great start for Huma's week 2. Now they're at 2-2 overall. I think they're in a good place. I think they're in a good place when you look at what they're playing for. Obviously, looking towards the likes of week 5 for playoffs. Now, every time you get a 2-0 week, you're taking that one step further because it's 3 points Every time you get 2-0 is 3 points. You're not in that 1 point or 0 point for a tie. So I think they're looking like they can contend quite easily for a playoff spot.
Definitely in a good place. And even hearing from Samsung as well, like they seem to have everything figured out. Like the problems that we saw in week 1 make a lot of sense, like with their draft problems, etc. Moving into week 2 and beyond, they know how they're gonna like actually set up now. So I actually have a lot of faith in that lineup, and it will be interesting to see them because as a carry team, there's so much explosive potential in games like we saw in that one. So we'll see how it works out. With our first series out of the way, though, we do need to take a couple minutes to set up for Inspire Esports and Copenhagen Wolves. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.